So that would raise taxes on half of Americans and potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Why would you propose something like that in an election year?
Sure. Well, John, that's, of course, the Democrat talking points. It's a 11-step
No, it's
plan.
in the plan. It's in the plan.
But here's this thing about reality for a second. First of all, let's talk about Medicare.
But Senator, hang on.
John.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and there's nothing more hilarious than these right-wing nutcases being called out by their own kind because their lies are so obvious that they don't even stand a chance fooling the drooling morons who watch Fox News.
They put out an 11-point plan to rescue America, two of the big points of which are, quote, all Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game, even if a small amount. Currently, over half of Americans pay no income tax. It also says all federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. So that would raise taxes on half of Americans and potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Why would you propose something like that in an election year?
Sure. Well, John, that's, of course, the Democrat talking points. It's a 11-step plan.
No, it's in the plan. It's in the plan.
But here's this thing about reality for a second. First of all, let's talk about Medicare.
But Senator, hang on.
John.
That's exactly what happened when John Roberts had to halt Rick Scott in his tracks when he tried to dismiss his tax hikes as a Democratic talking point. Robert had to stop his partner in crime to remind him that it was his own stupid policy. He wrote it, or at least he hired people to write it. Too bad he didn't get the memo explaining what his own plans are actually about.
It's not a Democratic talking point. It's in the plan.
And also in the plan, it says we ought to every year talk about exactly how we're going to fix Medicare.
This is partisan politics, people. They bank on the fact that you don't give a crap what's actually being done in government. They bank on the fact that all you want is talking points for 5 minutes on a mindless TV show without ever finding out who is passing what and why. And they absolutely bank on the fact that their hopes in re-election stem not on their actual skills in performing the work of a representative, but simply enraging you about the other side. And the sad truth is, all of that works. And thus we have people like Rick Scott, who doesn't even know his own legislation, because guess what? He's a clueless, useless idiot. He's an ink pen waiting for corporate lobbyists to put enough cash in his pocket, and then he'll sign on any dotted line that comes before him. And the exact same thing can be said for his talking points as well. Do you think Rick Scott has independent opinion on anything? Of course not, because his sponsors tell him what to think. After the dotted line is inked, his staffers are hard at work getting the scripts on his desk of what BS fiction they've conjured up to justify the latest abomination in the minds of their base. And there we have the prototype Republican, Rick Scott, or how many countless others that follow this same pattern. Rick Scott thought he could be bold enough to hide his own plans in plain sight by denying their very existence as some Democratic Party fake news plot. And the biggest crime is, if John Roberts had not stopped him, it probably would have worked, and the majority of his base would simply eat out of the palm of his hand, no matter if he was feeding them poison or not. You know, the lesson of the day here is maybe you should take more than 3 seconds to decide who you're going to vote for in November. The crap you see on Fox News isn't even fit for the funny pages. So why not go for yourself and see what's happening in your local government or your state? Or look at the bills in Congress and try actually reading them for a change. Look at who is actually supporting measures that make sense. Maybe you'll come to realize, like the rest of the educated society, that Republicans for the working class is a laughable oxymoron at best, and really more like an utter insult to your intelligence. And I hope people remember moments like this when it comes shining through clear as a bell who these people really are. Rick Scott just told you exactly who he is, a sham, someone selling a con on a hook that's a bald-faced lie. He thinks you're a moron. Don't prove him right. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.